And he said, I will be with you. And this shall be a sign for you that I have sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you shall serve God on this mountain. Then Moses said to God, if I come to the people of Israel and say to them, the God of your fathers has sent me to you, and they ask me, what is his name? What shall I say to them? And God said to Moses, I am who I am. And he said, say this to the people of Israel, I am has sent me to you. And honestly, there is like so much to say. I know, guys, in any moment that you want to like cut me off, please do. But like, I think like the most important part that I saw about this is like, how do we encounter this? Like, because right now we're going to talk about who that I am is, right? It sounds so weird when I just say I am, because it feels like I'm talking about myself. Like, how did Moses come to encounter him, right? And I realized, number one, he's in the desert in the middle of nowhere, and he's taking care of his father-in-law's sheep, right? He was by himself taking care of these sheep, and God encounters him, right? He's not really having a good time, I don't think, because he was a prince, right? He had all of the commodities in his life, and all of a sudden he's in the desert and he's tending to other people, right? What he never had to do. And he encounters God, right? And how? And I realized that the first thing was like a humble heart. In order to encounter God, the great I am, and in order for him to even be revealed to you, the first thing that you need is to have this humble heart, right? And I know Diane was telling me of like other examples that there were that required you to be like by yourself, and
which were like Daniel, Abraham, and of course Moses. And it's crazy because it like foreshadowed what Moses was gonna do, like when he was leading his people out and when they were gonna be in the desert again. Like, imagine, he met God in the mountain, a burning bush, and then like afterwards he continued going up to the mountain. Like after, like during that process, God was like, oh, he went even higher. So what does it say? Like, God takes you to the middle of the mountain to like get to know him, like surface level. And that's why he said I am, because what does the I am mean? It means like the living God. That's what he was expressing to Moses at that point. Because imagine, Moses didn't know anything about his culture or his, like you could say, his religion or his faith before, because he grew up in Egypt. But then realizing, like when he left, he ran away, he was in the desert serving his father-in-law for like 40 years, and then that's when he met like God, the living God. He was like, oh, that's where he was like, oh, okay, this is the real deal. Like, this is what I was supposed to do. And
it's almost like his identity was not even like, because he asks him like, who am I, right? Like insecure about himself. And that's like something that all of the people that you just had to have in common, like they let their identity rest completely in God. And that is how they were able to encounter the great I am, because they said, I don't know who I am. You be in me. You be I am, right? Yes. Sorry, Nani. You're looking at me like I want to say something?
No, I was going to say just maybe to like zero in on what you guys are saying. I feel like sometimes as humans, I feel like we tend to think that everything revolves around us. But in reality, we're not the center of this universe. And in reality, the center of this universe is Jesus and God and you know, the Trinity. And that's why when God here speaks to Moses, he says, I am who I am. You guys can almost say, it's not about you, Moses. It's about what I can do through you. And I just want to stress that we are nothing but. I don't know if have you guys ever heard of the pizza box example? I know we've heard it because we've heard it. Have you guys ever heard it? No. If you guys haven't heard it, like when you order a pizza, right? Like when you order pizza, what would you do if the pizza guy came and the pizza was in his hands, like hot, and he tried to give it to you? Would you eat it?
No.
Right? No, you would be like, that's disgusting, right? That's why the pizza box is yet so cheap. It's not worth anything, but it gives the pizza some value, right? That's exactly what God is. God on itself might not be so easily acceptable, but he needs us to take it to people so they can accept it easier. So that's what I'm saying. Like that's why the I am is so beautiful, because it was never about Moses, but yet he made it about him, right? He was like, oh, it's because I can't speak. Oh, I can't do this. And God got mad at him. He was like, okay, you know, either you're going to do it or not. So I just want to say that that's beautiful what you guys are saying, that he can, you know, go over all these insecurities that he has and help him out.
Yeah. And so like now we can like go in like who really is I am, right? And we read in Exodus 3:15, he says, God also said to Moses, say this to the people of Israel, the Lord, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob has sent me to you. This is my name forever, and thus I am to be remembered through all generations. And I was reading like God revealed himself to the patriarchs in many different ways. Abraham encountered with Melchizedek, God Most High. Then he encountered later Almighty God. Abraham came to know the Lord as everlasting God, the Lord, and the Lord will provide. Agar encountered you are God who sees. Jacob met El Elohe, Israel, and El Bethel. I hope I'm saying all these names right. But he's pretty much saying like everything that I've been in the past, I am. And everything that I'm gonna be, I am, right? And there's just like pretty much saying like I have no equal. Whatever you need, whatever is necessary, I can be. And I was reading a lot of commentaries, guys, because this is such a like it seems like so easy, right? But then like to actually like talk about it into detail, it's just like whoa, like wow, how do I even explain this? And it was saying like God can only equal God. Like for example, the only thing that comes near it is God equals love, right? But you can't say love equals God.
No.
Right? It only works one way. Yeah. The only way that it's equal is God is God. Yeah. There's just no other way, right? Which is why he says, I am who I am, or I am that I am. There's just no other way around it. He's infinite. He's everything. And that's what we can read in Revelations 1:8, I believe. Also, guys, I am talking a lot. If you guys have anything to say, I think house, you're next. I am the Alpha and the Omega, says the Lord God, who is and who was and who is to come, the Almighty. So pretty much like in all moments, he is, he was, he will be, and whatever you need him to show up as, he will.
I think just so I understand, because now we're talking about a God that time doesn't even apply to him. And we've heard from the people, that teach us, the apostles, that teach our doctrine, that time is something that God created for humans. So time does not apply to himself. The best way that I've seen it, I've seen it so many times, and they explain it to me, is like, it's almost like, how you see YouTube videos that you can see the end to it? That's how God sees time. He can high scroll speed to the end, or he can go back, or he can pause it and move away from it, right? Like the YouTube video does not control your life, but you control the video, and that's how God. That's how I feel, and that's the best way I can see it. That's how God sees time. It doesn't apply to him. He doesn't get old. It's not like he says, and that's what I feel like we forget, that we feel like he still puts it down like dumb enough so we can see, like he goes, oh, I was the God of before, meaning that he puts himself in time of today and the future. But in reality, what he says is, because you can't understand, since you can't understand that time doesn't apply to me, I'm just gonna make it like this so you guys can understand. But in reality, he's the same God in all three times. He's the same God in all three times. So he's the God, just like you said, he's the God of forever, of Abraham. And even in John, if I'm not, I just read it right here in John 8:58, Jesus says to them, truly, truly, I say to you, before Abraham was, I am. So just to back up what you just said, which was beautiful, the God of
and also to back you up, like
we're just doing a lot of backup.
Like it just leads into like what I'm reading right now, which is Job 38. Is like when he responded to Job, because Job was like in his misery and his depression, because that's what he was in, even though he didn't curse God what was going on, but God was getting like fed up with him. He was like, okay, dude, like
you're pathetic, bro.
So he's like, okay, were you there when I created like the behemoth? Were you there when I created the clouds that hold the rain? Were you there? And it's like he was telling him, bro, like I'm not in time. Like, I was out of your time, so it's like, don't worry about it. Yeah. And most of these people, like, throughout the Bible, they had that issue that it was like, they were, like, centered in themselves instead of having God in their center, until God revealed himself to them. And you could see, like, how he guided them and how he had so much mercy for them. Like, and you could call it, like, pre-existential grace, like what you were talking about yesterday. Like, there were figures of grace before Jesus was like
sent.
Yeah. So, like, I see that and I'm like, yeah, that's how you know Jesus is the I am, and you know he's in God. So
And that's beautiful because right now we were talking about how he said to Moses, I'm the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And that we were sharing with you guys that one preaching that says, like, why didn't God use the word Isaac, and Israel, instead of Jacob, right? Because Israel was once Jacob was already, his name was already changed once he had the encounter with the angel or God. And yeah, why does God say that? And it's like what you're saying, pre-existential grace. Like God almost saying, like, I love you even when you're bad. I love you even when you're sinful. Even then I show up. Even then I am the I am, and I'm gonna be I'm gonna be what you need. But Danny, sorry, go for it.
Yeah, I was just like sick, bro. But
Nobody wants to listen to me.
I know. I was like trying to jump in, trying to figure out what my time is. But pretty much what I really like about that verse was Matthew 11:28. It says, "Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." Pretty much, like, I think it's so awesome how, like, such a huge, like, I guess entity. Yeah, I would say entity. Like, was it like he gives time for us to, like, help us in anything we need. Like, it's so, like, irrelevant to him. You get what I'm saying? Like, literally, he can, like, snap his fingers or even think about it. Like, and he's like, all right, I can help this guy a little bit. You know,
right.
like Moses. Like, was it like he had, like, trouble speaking and stuff like that. You know, and I think it was awesome how, like God also said an authority. He's like, all right, either you're gonna do this or not. Like, I can easily find someone else.
Right.
You know, but also he kind of respected him too. At the same time, he's like, let me help you, but it's also your choice. Is what to do things. Like, for example, it can also be for, like, a service. It can be also for, like, helping someone else or something like that. Yeah.
You know that's really important that you said that, because that's true. He was trying to rely on his own abilities. Like Danny was saying that yesterday, like that God asked him, am I not the God who created them out? Like our abilities have literally nothing to do with his power. His power could change anything in like a second. And that's the problem, that we tend to rely on our own abilities instead of saying, yeah, whatever you say, amen, because I rely on the I am, and you'll be whatever I need in order to fulfill your purpose. And the Bible even says, like, if we don't cry out, the rocks will. And that's honestly something that's just been, like, hitting my heart, like, so, like, lately, like, a lot. Because, dude, if we don't, God has a no need for us. Like, he's like, okay, if you don't want to sick, don't worry about it. I'll find somebody else.
And you can see it in like, honestly, in many stories. For example, in Exodus, it says that Moses came into this place with the burning bush, and he says that God told him to take his sandals off, right? And then in Acts 7, when Stephen is doing his sermon, he says that Moses was shivering in fear. So right there, just that moment, God showed another I am, and it says, I am your peace. He was scared, gave him peace, and convinced him to take off his sandals. He didn't force him, but he said, hey, you're standing on holy ground. And then he's like, oh, okay, maybe I should be taking off my sandals. Like, honestly, if you start seeing who God is, even in the verse you said, it says, come to me to hard labor and heavy laden, I have give you rest. And it says, take upon my yoke and learn from me. Listen to this. For I am gentle, lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. So he's saying, right? He's a merciful God. He's consuming fire, but he's also gentle to the tired. You know, like when you come home tired from work, you don't want somebody to be like, hey, you gotta pick up your clothes. You just want somebody to be like, all right, bro, just let me go take a shower. You know, just chill out, right? Like, you wanna, like, you get to what you need to do, right? But you just wanna chill out, right? So I love that God can just be like anything that we need. I know that we keep repeating this, but as a young person. As I used to be a young guy, a young kid.
When I was a young
a young buck, right? But yeah, like I wish somebody would have told me this, because sometimes I feel like, even today, like my sister can attest to this. Like, I'm not a very good speaker. Like I really do struggle with speaking what I have in mind, and I practice, I practice and practice and practice, and I say, God, why did you choose me? Actually, when God told me to start, you know, working with the youth, I used to talk, God, but why me? I can barely even speak, I can barely even talk, right? But of course, since I had the Moses example, I was like, I'm not gonna back out, right? But and then he would tell me, look, you just show up, you just do the work that you must be done, and I'll show up everything. And glory to God, he's always shown up for me. And there's always that little fear of saying, God, be the I am, because I can't do this by myself, right? Like, I can't transfer the fire that you have given me. So you be what you have to be, which is the I am. Sorry, but continue. I don't want to.
Oh no, sorry, Diana has.
Yeah, a verse to go along with what you said is Psalms 91, 1-2, which he says, He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High, he will abide in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say to the Lord, my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. So you could see, like, they use different names in each part, like, for God, which is the Most High, the Almighty, the Lord, and God. Like, you could see, like, that's him in just one, but like you could see in different facets and what he is, and that's why the I am is so deep, because it's like Danny got mad because I was like, oh, I'm gonna mention the quadric dimension, and like I was like, nah, he's not. But no, like that teaches you like, oh, God is like a whole being, but he could be different things for what you need.
Yeah, he's like a fill in the blank type of thing.
And that's why
that's beautiful.
That's why we're making this series for like people to understand what facet of like God, like what type of God we have, that he could fulfill anything that we need.
And you know, it's almost like he like dumbs it down for us to be like, okay, I am gonna be your provider, so you can understand who I am. Here's me as provider. But in that moment, he was just like, no, tell my people, they've been slaves for 400 years, tell them that I am who I am. And it's just like, I'm gonna have to be everything. I'm not only gonna have to free them from actual like physical Egypt, but from spiritual Egypt, because they took Egypt with them in their hearts, and that was even harder, right, than freeing them from physical Egypt, because there he took them by force. But to take Egypt out of their hearts, it was a long process. Yeah. But yeah, right? He's like, it almost like he dumbs it down. Like, who's God in your life, Diane? You know, maybe you haven't seen like all the facets of God, but have you seen God as a provider? Have you seen God as a peacemaker? You know, and that's beautiful, right? It's almost like he gives us many difference, and then all together we can see like, oh, who's God for you? Who's God for you? Who's God for you? And then we put it all together and be like, wow.
Yeah, because you could see like everyone like is brought to God in their own different way. Like, it might be like in your struggle, or probably like you needed healing and then like God did that miracle, or like, oh, like something different. Like everyone is brought like to God in different ways because he's helped us in different ways.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And it brings me back to the verse that you were reading, the John 8:58, where he says when Jesus says before Abraham was born, I am. And we can see that Jesus too, right? He comes in a representation of I am, because Jesus says in the Bible 7 times that he is the bread of life, the light of the world, the door of the sheep, the good shepherd, the resurrection and the life, the way, the truth and the life, and the true vine, right? And he comes, I see it like literally, it's like a figure of when Moses was here. Moses was a prince, and he goes into the wilderness, right? Let's go of his, I said princehood earlier, but that's definitely not the word. But he lets go of the fact that he was a prince, and he becomes literally his royalty. Yeah, his royalty. He becomes one who tends for the sheep of his father-in-law, right? And what does Jesus do? He lets go of his deity. He says, you know, like, I'm not gonna use this for now, so that I can be equal to my people, to my children, right? And he comes, it's almost like God said, like, okay, the first time I sent a representation of I am, but this time I myself am coming. Because even when Philip asks in John 14, when Philip says, hey, Jesus, show us the Father, what does Jesus reply to him? He says, Philip, you've been with me all along and you still don't understand that I am? Like, I am the Father. Yeah. If you see me, you see the Father. And it's almost like God himself came down to say, here, this is what I am. Jesus is going to be representation of who I am. And he can be all of these things for you. And he continues to be the I am for us in every moment, because how many of us need the bread of life? How many of us need light? How many of us need the door of the sheep, the good shepherd? How many of us need the resurrection and the life? All the time. He's the way, the truth, and the life. Nobody can get to the Father except through Jesus. It's like he becomes everything, and there's just no way around it.
I was also going to say that in the story that you just said with Moses, we tend to forget to say that before Moses leaves, he kills the Egyptian guy, right? Remember? And it's crazy because honestly, like, Moses is a complete shadow of Jesus. It says that after he killed the Egyptian, he hides him, right? But that doesn't mean that Jesus killed him, okay? Just so you understand, right? But listen, this is where it gets crazy. Like, he comes and sees 2 Jewish people, and they're fighting, and he comes, Moses, and goes, "Hey, you guys are the same people. We're the same family. Why are you guys fighting?" And they look at him and they go, wait, are you gonna kill me like you killed that Egyptian guy? And when Jesus comes, what did he tell the Pharisees? Why do you guys continue to argue amongst yourselves? And they say, who are you? Are you the Son of God? They reject him completely, just like they rejected Moses. And Moses was supposed to be their savior from, I'm guessing I was going to use him from up there. And I guess it would have been easier, like if you think about it. But no, since they rejected him, he goes out, he leaves Egypt. Jesus has to come down, he has to move, and then he starts going with Sephara's dad, which is another type of people that were no longer Jewish, no longer Egyptian. He marries that woman. He has kids. He has a new family. And then with that family comes back and liberates Egypt, which that's what Jesus did, of course, when he died. And I just think it's beautiful how the same way that Jesus is the one, just like the same way that Moses was rejected by his brothers, Jesus was also rejected by his brothers. And I was going to tell you guys that just with the verse that you guys read, because we're going to stay on this verse, I think, for a little bit longer, with the I am. Throughout this, every single generation, he was the God of promise. Because Abraham, he was the God of Abraham, which he promised him a son. Then of Isaac, to fulfill the promise that he gave Abraham. This all through Abraham, just so we understand. Then after Abraham comes Isaac, right? And Isaac, then comes Jacob. Then after Jacob comes what's his name, Joseph. And through Joseph, then they start in Egypt. And then in Egypt, then they start, that's when Moses starts, and after 400 years and everything. And I was just wondering, I was like, God, you've never let them go. You never did. It almost seemed like you forgot about them, but you were always there. You were preparing everything. And I don't know how to say it. Like, it's just so beautiful that God is, right? And so it's so nice.
There's just literally like we were saying before, right? Like there's just no explanation. Like there's no way to even grasp it fully. Like we could sit here talking about this for 6 hours and at the end still be like, there's just so much more, because it depends. Like every situation is different, right? There's always going to be a need for I am, and he's going to have to, he's not going to have to, right? But he shows up in the ways that we need him. How's, you want to say anything? We have just left you.
No, it's okay.
Literally to talk just once.
Like absorbing like a sponge right now.
Yeah, and I feel like the I am is just represented in the Bible itself. Like it's so in depth that you could just read it like on your own, basically. Because with David, he was his like consolador. Like every song that David made was because God was like consoling him, and you could see that's a facet of God, which is his Holy Spirit for us, that he consoles us too when we're down. And that was an issue with David, that even though he was by himself, he was never really by himself, because God was always there, like to be that for him. And like for Daniel also, he was his guide. Daniel could have like accepted Babylon's teachings, but he didn't. He continued to pray. He prayed like the same way we eat. Like he prayed 3 times a day, and God answered continuously to him, and he revealed to him many things. And that's why he was able to be in high status in Babylon. And like you can see that in everything that we read in the Bible, like from the kings to the prophets to everything, to the patriarchs. And like, yeah, it's so much that God has done and is.
Right. And I think the important part is like, now how are we going to encounter him? How do we, I literally want to go out of my way to be able to know God as I am. Like, not just like, oh, I need something, God, and show up for me in this way, but like, how do I know you fully like that? Like, how do I let go of 400 years, although I'm not 400 years old. But like spiritually, like, how do I let go of, if there's any Egypt in me, if I'm in an Egypt, physical Egypt, how do I let go of this? How do I encounter that I am? Like, I don't know. Like, do you get what I'm saying? Like, how can we call on to that? Do you guys have any? I mean, I have one, but if you guys
go.
Yeah. Well, I think like the first thing, like God seeks like those. He's close to those who are brokenhearted, those who are low, right? Those who are, their spirit is kind of like how do you say, like entristecido? I can't think of how you say that in English. Yeah. Wow. Right now all of my thoughts are in Spanish. Like a heart that is just like sad, guys. I guess that's all I can say. Like that is not all there, right? Going through a trial, like that's who God was coming after, right? His people who were being enslaved by Egyptians, right? And how did they welcome their libertador, guys. I can't speak English today. They're liberated. How did they welcome him, right? Moses came in and they didn't say, no, this guy is a liar, goodbye. No, right? They said like, yes, absolutely. Like there was so much need. There was so much openness, right? Like their heart was not thinking like, oh, this guy's not worth it. This guy, oh, we know him. He used to be the prince here and now he's going to free us. Yeah. No, right? Like their hearts were not rejecting. They had open hearts. They said, you know, like whatever is necessary to let go. I don't want to be a slave anymore. Like they had an open heart to this, and that is why I don't know. Like I'm thinking, like, do you really think that God wanted to leave them there 400 years? No, but maybe that's what they needed in order to have this heart that was like, okay, no, whatever you say, anything that happens, anything that you need. And I feel like that's the way, that's the only way that I see it, that we can encounter the great I am, by really opening our hearts and saying there's literally nothing else. There's nothing that I can do. I know that I cannot be free by myself. I know that I cannot physically leave Egypt or spiritually leave Egypt without the help of the I am. So whatever, if plagues are necessary to free me like this. If it's necessary that I suffer, if it's necessary that whatever is necessary, I want it. And to be humble enough to accept it, right? Exactly. Because sometimes we want to be the Moses, but not the people of Israel who need to be freed. And honestly, if you had me pick, of course I want to be Moses. Yeah. But sometimes what I need to be is Israel.
Exactly.
Right. And it's beautiful what you say, because God is not looking for perfect people. And God is not looking for, people that feel like they're self-sufficient. He's looking for people, the people that have been brought down, the people that nobody believes in, the people that can't speak, the people that feel alone. Just like you said, we can even just see how he got close to Moses himself when he was lost, when he said, oh, I'm down to be a pastor, a pastor of sheep. And I'm down with this. Like, honestly, he was already saying, dude, I am cool with this. I'll take it. Mm-hmm. I'm happy with my wife, my kid. Bro, I'm chilling. And God goes, nah, that's not what I need from you. Come back. Yeah. And he used that burning bush. And honestly, that in itself, that burning bush is so powerful, because I think we told us about this, but even the burning bush, I was looking into the burning bush one time because I actually preached about it. And the burning bush is like this, it's called like this salicary bush, and it says that this salicary bush has no use whatsoever. Doesn't grow any fruit, doesn't give any water. It doesn't need. It's dry. It's almost like grows. It grows and then it dies. That's what it is. And I was wondering, God, why do you use such a plant? Wouldn't there be beautiful trees, beautiful flowers? No. Yet He uses a plant that has no use, that grows up to die. Just like us, and it's funny how some of us are the burning bush. We are literally here to die, and then He goes, "Oh, you're here to die? Perfect. Here, let me give you some life." And then He gives us some of your life, and you're like, "Okay, this is what I want for the rest of my life." Like, that's what I thought. So here, come, let me show you how. That's why the God of the I am is just. That's why in the Bible it says, I am that I am who I am, because we can see that He's the Alpha, and if you guys don't know what the Alpha is the beginning and the end, the Alpha and the Omega. It says that you're gonna start with me and you're gonna end with me. There's no in between. It's gonna be all me, and it's all gonna be for me. So that's why I also suggest that the reason that all these beautiful people and patriarchs of the Bible, and I think we should all see, the most successful people understood that it wasn't because of what they could do, but it's what they can do with Christ first. You can see that in Abraham. Well, I can speak of Abraham, but I think we already did. But let's just say after Moses, David, what did he do? He put God first, since nobody wanted him. Look, nobody wanted David. But I feel like I speak about David so much, but even just look at everybody. Look at Solomon. Solomon is a son of promise. He was the one that built the temple of the Lord. And I'm just saying, like, if you guys see this, he who puts God first is just meant to be God. Like, you almost change your name and you put God. I am whatever you want me to put after the I am. I am, and then whatever you need, I'll be there. I'll be that. And that's literally that's my prayer. I always tell people, like, "Oh, Danny, what's your goal in life?" And I'm like, "Dude, I'm here to serve God however He needs me to." Like, that's what I want. That's what I want. Go ahead.
I got a verse that literally just was like, damn. It was John 8:12, and it says, again, Jesus spoke to them, saying, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will not walk in the darkness, but will have the light of life. And I kind of liked how you mentioned how, like, was it like we live to die for Christ, right? And with this verse as well, it's like we have a part in Him in order to be able to project out what others may need. You know, sometimes people are like always wanting something or needing something, and we obviously have the source, the great I am, right? Obviously, and we can obviously the main mission is to project and give as much like word and everything He gave us to other people.
And I was gonna say honestly, because right now what you just said was so beautiful about like
when I speak, you want to speak all the time.
Yeah, I do. Literally, the second you start speaking, I'm like,
yeah, I saw you.
I'm sorry, because I was gonna tell you that 1 Corinthians 1:27 says, but God chose what is foolish in the world to shame the wise. God chose what is weak in the world to shame the strong. God chose what is low and despised in the world, even things that are not, to bring nothing things that are. To bring to nothing things that are, so that no human might boast in the presence of God. And that's literally what the burning bush was, right? And what you were saying, we are literally nothing. And so we could never boast that this was on our own, but instead it was God's glory that filled us. And because of that, we have now Jesus in us, right? Us and Him and us. And that makes us, right, representatives of the I am. And so when somebody has a need, what can we do? We can project who the I am is unto them. What do you need? Well, I got you, because the Jesus, the I am, is in me, and He can be in you too if you want.
Yeah, and the way that Moses used God, the I am, doesn't stop with Moses.
Yeah,
we're the modern day Moses. When you go and speak to somebody that's in Egypt and you bring them out, you just became the I am of God. You became the liberator of God. God used you as a cup to, like, as I'm saying, like, even it doesn't stop today. Like, it doesn't even stop to, like, even what happened to Saul and Paul and everything, like, we don't stop today. I remember when I read Acts and I see Saul and I see the way God chooses Saul and He changes his name to Paul. I'm like, God, He didn't walk with you. He chased you. He killed people, and yet He calls Himself the architect of doctrine. I look back and I say, God, it must be you. It has to be the I am, because only you can choose somebody like that, and you can almost make him change, dude, from one side to the other side. And you guys can see in the verses in once he was holding the jackets for all the people that killed Stephen, and on the other one he's on the floor because God appeared to him and says, you're the one that I called. And you're just like, what? Wait, he was just stoning somebody and now God calls him. That's what I'm saying. That's why when I talk to people about Jesus, I'm like, dude, there's nothing that you have probably committed that can keep you away from God's love. I was like, oh, but I've done this. I still don't believe it. Yeah. Like, and that's why I'm maybe it's my bad thing, but I try to accept everybody, and sometimes it's really hard to accept everybody because, you know, for example, even with this, yeah, because even with this Kanye, like, remember there was a point that we're like, oh no, maybe he's trying, you know, like, because I believe in the God that forgives everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But because He forgives Saul, and if He forgives Paul, I think He can forgive anybody, right? Yeah. So I was just thinking that just with what you said, that He chooses the vile, the thing that everybody goes, oh, nobody wants to be that way. That's why we have to be loving in church, and we have to be accepting of everyone.
I think it's time. I just wanted to say something. Like, I was going to tell you about the whole Kanye thing, just so we don't like confuse anyone. We're not saying Kanye is like evil and the devil, and we're also not saying that he's good and she's an example to follow. Yeah, because you didn't finish it. I think what Kanye needs, honestly, Kanye, if you ever hear our podcast, I think what you need is I think what you need is he really just needs guidance, because guys, when we come to Christ, we don't come to Christ and start preaching. No, we come to Christ and we start learning. We have to start reading. We have to start filling ourselves, because if not, we use our worldly mind and mix it with what we think is right. And we don't really know what's right. But honestly, I hope Kanye finds a peace. And
hopefully he finds his podcast, bro.
and that he finds, the peace that he needs, and that he encounters the I am, because You eat it.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, that's the end of today's podcast. We are so happy. Please, that you guys are listening to us. Please follow us, give us a like, share, give us 5 stars. Like Danny says, if you don't give us 5 stars, please don't rate us at all. But not because we want to be popular, but because we'd like to spread the gospel as far as we can. Share it with your friends, or learn, or to hear the podcast and then go out and speak. That's what the Lord called us to do, to be disciples of this world. So God bless you guys, and see you next time. Bye.
God bless.